Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 223. It is Wednesday, June the 14th. I almost said June the 7th, which was correct about 7 days ago. But it is Wednesday, June the 14th, 2017. I am your host tonight, Tony Schaefer, and I am joined by the ever-lovely Mr. Russell Frost.
Did you just call me lovely?
Sure, why not? Let's go with that.
Thanks, Tony. I'm feeling like, to be honest, I'm feeling like Santa. I got to get rid of this beard. It's not doing me. A fat gray-haired guy should not have a full beard.
I didn't want to say anything because I thought maybe you were really digging it.
Yeah, no, I'm actually totally hating it. This is
get
a
a
new thing.
temporary job come Christmas time.
With kids sitting on my
The
lap.
Macy's Santa.
You could be homeless, Santa. Yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry, Paul. Have we met? I'm just not all that kid friendly, But I appreciate the thought, and I don't look good.
You could be angry Santa.
Yeah.
I could be angry. I would definitely be a fine angry Santa.
It could be, have you seen my Glock, Santa?
No. I sold the Glock, and I don't know. No. So thanks, Tony. It sure is nice to be here.
Yeah, well, we should probably introduce the other two guys who everybody already knows at this point. And I'm going to start with our man in Boulder, Colorado, who owns Boulder Hybrids. He is Mr. Paul Guzik.
Hey guys, glad to be back, and looking forward to the big show tonight.
Yeah. Yay. And of course, right in there, we do have Mark Coughlin, founder of the Waterloo Region Voltec Group and EV Association. He's our resident Chevy Volt driver and plug-in enthusiast. Hey, Mark.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. And we've got a ton of news, so we better get to it.
I know, we really do. First, I want to do a real quick announcement. I think Mark in Canada agreed to provide all of our listeners in the United States with the new glow-in-the-dark tuning. Was that
I
right?
want them. Not everyone. I want them.
Oh, I misunderstood. Okay, sorry.
And for those uninformed, what the hell are you talking about, Tony?
I don't even know. No, I do know. Canada has really cool stuff. Canada does cool things with their currency. And what they're doing this year is the toonie, the $2 loonie, has a scene of the Northern Lights. And then when it's dark, the Northern Lights literally glow in the dark. So the coin has glow-in-the-dark aspects to it. It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's for our 150th birthday.
And it's already being sold on eBay.
Of course it is.
Wow.
Of course it is.
Wondering if people really are that scummy. Yes.
Yeah, it's not even out yet. It's released next month, and it's already on eBay.
And it's already here. Wait, here's
Wow.
the coin. Yay! Thank you, eBay, for commoditizing literally every aspect of our life.
Oh, so the actual
value.
Northern Lights glow in the dark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The green part glows in the dark.
Oh,
Right.
cool.
Yeah,
That's an awesome coin.
it really is. That really is awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to.
And what's it worth? About $1.50?
About 30%.
$1.40.
It's about 30%.
Yeah.
Is it 30%?
Yeah. It used to be 40, so we're going in the good,
So
in a
like
good direction.
$1.40?
Right.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, enough about Canada's cool
Enough about the
currency.
toonie.
So Russell, want to kick it off with a little bit of a rant and get us going on a good tune?
So I just want everyone to buckle in because I'm last week you heard me. You were hopefully those of you wonderful, open-minded, tolerant people who put up with my bullshit at the beginning of every show. Thank you. I was ranting about Uber, and honestly, and I basically just kind of pleaded with everybody. Said, you know what? Just stop. Just don't give them money. They're not good. They've never been good. We don't need this. The taxi industry is already disrupted, and maybe someone with some slight moral compass may take their place. Turns out Uber managed to even sink lower this week. at a meeting announcing the implementation of former Attorney General Eric Holder's suggestions for Uber, one of which is that their bro culture is very sexist and just awful. It's fucking awful. Let me just say that. One of their board of directors made a really sexist joke.
No.
Now, I would act surprised.
In public with other people in the room.
On a call. This is an open call. Press, everyone, board, whatever, made this. It's a company-wide meeting. And it doesn't even really matter what he said. The point is that these are all people that they're not nice. And I don't expect all my capitalists to be nice. I expect my capitalists to be decent, to be law-abiding, to maybe not be actively, I'm not going to use the E word, maybe just not to be enormous assholes. And obviously this has flowed from the top, from the very beginning. Travis Kalanick, the CEO of Uber, is an enormous asshole and has been since he founded the company. Well, as it turns out, Kalanick has announced in a rather self-serving, kind of mealy-mouthed letter that he's stepping aside. He's taking an indefinite leave of absence. Nothing about a replacement, so we can only assume that Kalanick's going to run the company from his cell phone, and with probably violently misogynistic texts. I can't imagine what else is going to happen. So all I want to say is, once again, plead with you people, you, my wonderful listeners and viewers,
don't support Uber.
Don't support Uber. They don't deserve your money. Okay. I don't care whether you use one of their competitors or not. I don't care about the taxi thing. Just, you know what? This is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that doesn't deserve your money, and they're not going to do anything good with it. So think about doing something else.
We have mass transportation. We have taxis. We have other options. Exercise those.
There are competitors who we are not here to pump. I don't have any stock in any competitors or in Uber. I haven't shorted Uber stock. I just think they're a bunch of scumbags that don't deserve support.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Tony. That was
Yes,
my rant.
That's it. And if you want to read the article that he's talking about, as well as any of the articles that we cover on the show, make sure and check us out online. So first, we do have our Facebook page at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Leave us comments, suggest news items, or just like the page, or just shout misogynistic things at Russell. He likes what? No? I thought that's what you were going for. All right. Well, if you don't want to leave comments for Russell, go over to Flipboard and check out our magazine. So if you use Flipboard, do a search for What Drives Us and subscribe to our magazine. So it's mostly Philip Barclay and myself throwing magazines up there, and I think he adds more than I do. So a shout out to Philip.
But both you guys are on it. I mean, you're amazing.
Yeah, well, it's
You post a lot of cool stuff there.
I have no stock in Flipboard, but I get a lot of my news from Flipboard. It's just, in my opinion, it's a really good news aggregator. And I sit down, I grab
Good way to
my
pass the
pad.
time at work during your day job.
Yeah, hypothetically, if anyone at work were listening, no, not at all.
On your personal time.
Yes, there is times I do sometimes eat lunch at my desk, unfortunately, but just to get away from everybody, and I will just open up Flipboard and flip through the news. So I just think it's the magazine, the newspaper of the 21st century. So if you use Flipboard like I use Flipboard, then check out What Drives Us. So what I want to do is kick it over to Mark because he has some GM news he wants to tell us about.
Yes, indeed. Just recently, as of I think it was yesterday that this news popped up. But GM announced that the Orion plant in Michigan, that they had completed the build of 130 Bolt EV Cruise autonomous vehicles off of their line, and they are adding this 130 to basically 3 cities, San Francisco, Phoenix, and Detroit.
Wow.
just so we can get a little snow action into this autonomous vehicle thing.
Mhm.
That's enough of seeing these pretty roads where vehicles drive around without slush.
No, I think Detroit is to make sure like no one runs up and steals parts while the car is driving down the road.
Make sure the cars are bulletproof.
Bolt those LiDAR units down, GM.
They're going to be the wheelless, driverless cars.
Yes.
Or,
Where cars always drive in camouflage to be safe.
yeah.
But President of GM Mary Barta was at this press conference that she was talking about the rolling out of these 130 units that they're adding to their existing fleet of, I believe, of 50 already. So that's going to be 180 total that are out on the roads collecting data with the recently acquired company Cruise. So.
Wow. And
Which they're now called GM Cruise, I believe, is the name of the
Cruise
company.
Automation got a startup got acquired for $1 billion.
$1 billion.
Wow.
We are
Nice.
so in the
So
wrong
Big
business.
Auto is taking this stuff pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, clearly.
It's a big B.
That's a lot of cash. So they're and if you've seen the recent videos this spring of the Bolts in the streets of San Francisco driving around at night, even stopping for raccoons. So
Well.
it's been a very cool video to watch to see these things in action. But yeah, they're definitely taking things seriously, and they're ramping up the production of these. Now, these are actually made at the same plant where the Bolt EV is assembled for a regular car. It's just another wing of it, but that's where they're putting these autonomous vehicles together.
And that thing on the roof that looks like the cop car lights and all that without lights that's where all the electronics are for the autonomous stuff.
There's a lot of it of the sensors up in this top part here, but there's also a video in this link as well, which is in the show notes that you can watch. And there's a video showing the actual assembly of one of these cars, partially, obviously. But they do put some instrumentation in the back under the hatch, and certainly that above the roof piece, as Paul mentioned, as well.
Cool.
Yeah, I certainly, I know it will happen, Moore's Law and all that, but, I certainly hope that they can get the sensors and everything a little smaller because nothing against GM because I've seen this in other cars, but, that bulbous,
future.
yeah, that bulbous instrument cluster on top of the roof is pretty damn ugly. So, I just hope the manufacturers can find ways to shrink things and get, to incorporate it better.
I don't know if they can't. They use a little paint, make it look like an ice cream truck.
That
Paint
works
one
too.
side red and one side blue and make it look like a cop car. And everybody will get out of your way.
There you go.
Right.
So can I toss something in here?
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to pee in the pool, but I want you to cast your minds back to May of 2016, when on The Verge, GM announced that May of 2016, and I'm going to read from the article, quote, GM and Lyft plan to put self-driving cabs to the test sometime within the next year. According to the Wall Street Journal, companies intend to put Chevrolet Bolts on the road in a yet-to-be-named city where they'll actually be picking up Lyft passengers.
Hasn't quite happened, has it?
13 months ago. February 17th, from Fortune.com, quote, General Motors plans to deploy thousands of self-driving electric cars in test fleets in partnership with ride-sharing affiliate Lyft beginning in 2018. Two sources familiar with the automaker's plans said this week.
Well, that is in the future.
It is in the future. And
Yep.
none of that refutes what this article said. People, doing something like this rolls out delays and all that all the time. But I've been the guy, the jerk, who's expressed a lot of, I don't know that the autonomous car should be our goal, and I don't know that it's a goal that's going to happen really, really as soon as people think it's going to happen.
Right.
Except in very limited and very prescribed circumstances where they can work. But there's a lot of situations that are still way beyond the technology that we have. And I'm just, I think it's great that they're testing these, deploy them, get them out there, see what happens. But I'm not like, oh, I'm going to go buy some Lyft stock. You know what I mean? Like, you might want to just relax on that a bit. That's all.
You're right. There's going to be a lot of, walking before they run. But they have to run into these items and find these things out in the real world to understand what those problems are going to be and how compound those problems will be as time goes along. So it's just it's a process that they have to go through, and over time they will adjust and evolve. And like anything else that we humans put on this earth, it will get better over time.
Absolutely.
And a few raccoons may pay the price in the process.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
Actually, I hope it's not raccoons. I hope it's not people either.
Right.
Yeah.
And-
No, I mean, there's no doubt that this technology is going to save lives.
Yeah.
And save injuries. There's no question about that. The question is just how it's implemented and who's paying for it and how we deploy.
I mean, yeah, it's absolutely coming, and it's absolutely going to change the world in ways that we can't even fathom yet. I mean, auto accident attorneys, emergency rooms, physicians, that's going to all change. I mean, there might be a bump up initially, but once the stuff gets matured, it's going to change the world.
The insurance industry.
They'll have to
Auto
find
body
new reasons.
industry, auto body repair shops. I mean,
Yeah.
think of how big this is going to be when they get it figured out.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, thinking of figuring stuff out, I think Russell has a word of advice to Nissan rolling out the Nissan Leaf.
Well, let me cut to the chase here. Am I the only one that's just bored with this whole next generation Leaf rollout? Does it seem like it's been 2 years since the new Leaf was just around the corner?
It has been.
Yes,
Yeah.
it has been.
Coming soon now.
So there you go. Wow, yeah. I mean, and honestly, this isn't in the show notes. I said that Nissan needs to stop taking marketing cues from Mitsubishi, who's promised an Outlander hybrid in the United States forever, and keeps forgetting to actually fulfill that promise. There was a story in Green Car Reports, sort of. Love you, John, but it was kind of a non-story in that there wasn't really any news other than there's a new Leaf coming, and we've got a photo of the headlights. Great.
Yeah.
So it's got new headlights.
Headlight teaser.
Yeah, headlight teaser. And again, Nissan's not the only company. Toyota's done this too with the little, here's a car part, look at our new vehicle. This phased in teaser campaign. The problem is I don't know any one of them that's really generated any kind of super grassroots interest. What generates interest is people seeing something they can actually grab onto and go, it's going to be in dealerships in July. And then they know they can go to dealerships in July and actually buy the damn thing.
Yeah, what
They won't
generates
sell
interest?
anything now.
Yeah, but I was going to say what generates interest is when you are driving your Model 3 mules and parking them at chargers, and you have people with cameras running up taking pictures and saying, oh my God, this thing is real. Look at this. It's coming. It's coming. Instead of, a picture of a headlight because you haven't assembled the rest of the car yet.
Well, or they look at clearly, if the car's coming out this year, it's done. Right?
Yeah.
They're not still whittling
So why don't
models.
they go park them in front of superchargers and get people waiting for Model 3 pictures to take pictures of them?
Well, yeah,
Why not?
something.
Hey,
Yeah.
Nissan, we just gave you some marketing ideas.
Woo.
Yeah. Go to a supercharger and cover your car with a tarp and leave it unattended.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works every time.
And don't forget the Sour Patch Kids in the couple.
Yeah. And the sign that says top secret, do not remove
Do
the
not
tarp.
look.
Do not lift
Yeah.
tarp.
Yeah, yes, yes. What I did find interesting in John's article here in Green Car Reports is his timeline, which seems very realistic. In that they're planning a reveal. Shoot, what was that? I forgot when it was going to be revealed. No, I lost it.
End of
September
June?
5th. Was it in?
Oh.
End of June. Was
I'm
it?
sorry.
With
That's
the
pretty
global
close.
announcement and detailed specs available September 5th in the U.S.
Oh, September 5th, excuse me.
And then between September and December, a series of hand-on owner drive celebrations. First with the early adopters, and that was in December. And by March, any constraints on supply will have ended. And then hopefully we'll have actually the Nissan Leaf available sometime, let's say summer, maybe
Of 2018.
Of 2018. Yes.
Oh,
By that time, the Bolt will have a year and a half, right? In the United States and other countries, the Model 3 will be out. Hopefully all their employees will have their cars and they'll start selling to current Tesla owners. What else we got? The Prius Prime will have been out for almost 2 years by
Almost
that
2
time.
years.
I
The
mean,
Volt 2's been out
of course,
already.
the
huh?
Volt, yeah, of course, the Volt 2. I mean, I was starting with EVs, and now I've segued into plug-in and range extenders. So I'm sorry, Nissan, you ushered in the generation of electric vehicles with the Leaf.
Right.
I mean, you led the way. Goshen put everything he had. He was all in. All his chips were on the table. And now they're promising to come out with a car 2 years after Chevy. It's crazy.
yeah, they kind of snoozed.
Yeah, I wonder if it was intentional, or if time got away from them, or if it was
They got lazy.
or like they couldn't do it within that time frame. But you're right; they kind of dropped the ball on innovation and R&D and just coasted for some time, and time caught up with them really quickly.
Yeah, I find that really hard to believe personally, because the company I work for, we manufacture products, software products, hardware products, and different things. And I know from working with the engineers, with product marketing, with the product managers, when a product is released, they are already making plans for the next product, whether it's 2 years out, 3 years out, or whatever. I mean, they never stop developing. The release is just a milestone, and then they go work on the next one. I find it incredibly hard to believe that Nissan has just been sitting on their laurels. And they just sent the engineers out for a 3-year vacation and said, hey, when you come back, we'll start thinking about our next car. So that's what I find so hard to believe about the next generation Leaf, is why it took so freaking long. And now they're behind the curve where they were leading it previously. I don't know. I mean, I have no answers, and I don't think Nissan will ever tell us what happened.
You're right
And
there.
they still haven't given the final specs, too. They could.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. What are we waiting for? You know what I mean? Like if they're going to unveil something amazing, well then maybe. But at this point, by the time they actually unveil it, chances are it's going to be 18 months behind
So
everything
they've
else.
either got like a ton of warehouses full of existing Leafs they got to sell before they can announce a new one, or some other reason. Because you'd want it to announce something to stop people from going out and buying a Bolt, right?
Right.
Yes.
Or a Model 3.
Yeah.
Hey, the Leaf's going to be this, and it's going to be so much cheaper,
Right.
you know? And we're
Yeah.
Nissan, we're used to manufacturing a lot of vehicles.
And by the way, we legitimize this market,
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all in before anybody else.
Hey, all of this criticism is because we support this product category. We support electric vehicles, and we want to see people like Nissan get out in the marketplace and sell cars to people. That's what we want. It's not that we're pissed off because Nissan hasn't delivered a car to us fast enough. It's that we see them doing something stupid, and we're going to call them on it.
Yeah.
Is that fair, gentlemen?
Yeah, because of the
I
fact
think
that
it is.
they put out a car in 2010, 2011 that was pretty cool at the time. Like Tony said, they should have been already working on the next generation back then, and by now they should have a kick-ass car. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of competition and eating their lunch, two companies that are direct competitors with Nissan actually kind of parted ways. So remember back so many years ago when in 2010, when Toyota acquired a $50 million stake in Tesla as the automakers were competing in less polluting vehicles in the United States. Also, this was the same time when the NUMMI plant went vacant because General Motors essentially just walked away from it. And so, excuse me, so Toyota partnered with Tesla and even bought into Tesla, and together they created the RAV4 EV, which was a bunch of fun to drive. And they ended up selling, what they say, like 2,500 units over 3 years of the RAV4 EV. And, you know, I want to believe that, I remember at the time they had said that this partnership had a duration and that it was going to end eventually. Well, it turns out that Toyota went ahead and sold all of their Tesla stock. And there's a couple of theories on this. I've read different articles. Some of the articles, one of them very well spelled out the fact that Toyota had anticipated this was going to happen, that it was a limited partnership, and eventually they would part ways. Another article said that Toyota is going to start manufacturing their own electric vehicles. They didn't want to be invested in a direct competitor while they were working on a similar product. I don't know exactly which one is true. Maybe they're both true in some, you know, little bit of way.
Well, when they invested, did they get Tesla stock? Because
yeah, that's what it was.
They made a shit ton of profit on that stock.
They did, as a matter of fact. And I couldn't find the comment now. I read it in one of the articles.
Because wasn't it
somebody,
today or yesterday, Tesla hit an all-time high in the stock?
It's every day.
380 is what it's at now. And again, keep in mind when Toyota bought this stuff, it was probably $17 a share.
Wow.
Or thereabouts.
Yeah, so if they bought $50 million in 2010, it's well over
a gazillion.
A gazillion now.
A gazillion.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, did you know, and I didn't even, until we started digging into this a little deeper, Toyota actually did this before the end of last year. Late in 2016, they sold these shares. And they just announced it this week that they did this. News of that announcement sunk their stock nicely. I think it was a 13% decline.
Because, well, since they did it, it's gone up 50%, right?
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Earlier, we were speculating like, wow, Toyota made so much money. And Toyota still made a ton of money. Okay.
Right.
You can't they didn't lose half that value.
Right.
But they made a ton of money on it.
They left a lot of money on the table.
They left a lot of money on the table, and we're not, you know, for whatever reason they needed to get out. They got out and they took it in shorts.
Yeah.
Right.
They only made an 800% profit instead of a 1,600% profit.
Yeah, let's see. Look, as of December 30th, the stock was 213.
Right. Wow.
And it's at 380 today. Owie!
Jeez.
Owie!
Dope.
Yep.
I'd just like to have the difference between 213 and 380.
I know. I would take that too.
Times however many million shares they had.
Yeah.
Times 10 million shares.
I'd take the $50 million they initially invested and just pocket it and go my own way.
Yeah, you know, I'd be happy with 50 million. Yeah.
All right. So
next on things that will never happen.
Yes. So one thing that will never happen is any one of us having a Rimac One concept, much less crashing it, which Paul is going to talk to us a little bit about.
Yeah, so it was a story floating around Sunday and Monday. Our good friend Richard Hammond of Top Gear fame had a little bit of an EV crash. No one knows yet what caused it, but it was all documented and filmed. And his, I guess you'd call it production prototype, Rimac EV supercar, kind of went off the road and went up in flames. He's okay, but I don't think Rimac's going to probably be a car to watch going forward.
I was just going to say.
Kind of the publicity you don't really want to get when you have a startup.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess the point I want to make is every single day gas cars go up in flames, and it doesn't make the news. This made the news because a celebrity was behind the wheel. Luckily, no one got hurt except for the Rimac stock, if they have stock or investors.
Yeah.
But and I guess they'll learn from it. They'll figure out why the thing went off the road. Was it a software error, a hardware failure? Was it driver error? We don't know. But it is scary when stuff like that happens, and luckily no one is killed or massively hurt.
Yeah, that video looks total driver error.
Yeah, I was going to say the video screams like, dude just totally didn't get
Like,
the corner.
Yeah, like he
maybe he's
didn't
looking
know
at his
the
phone
road.
or something. But
Yeah,
it could have been a wheel locked up from software.
True. Yeah.
Or a battery or a motor controller did something stupid on its own. I mean, again, I hope they'll figure it out and learn from it. But things like that are unfortunate. But again, it happens every day in the gasoline world.
right.
Exactly.
Every-
Cars
many
crash,
times a
cars
day.
blow up.
So I'm curious, Paul. What is it? What can make a electric vehicle catch on fire and burn like that?
It would have to be like some massive short circuit and
Heat.
and poor design in the battery pack. If a battery pack is properly designed, there's all kinds of thermal fuses to prevent that from happening, like the Tesla packs are very well engineered. This being kind of a prototype car company, they may not have had it at that safety level, and they may have been pushing it and something overheated, caught the plastics on fire, and then it just kind of went from there. Once it hits the batteries, they'll just go up in flames.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like it exploded, but it
No.
burned.
Right,
and you could
right.
tell there was some serious electrical problem that was very bad very quickly.
Right.
And again, gasoline is pretty nasty when it decides to go up.
It explodes.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, it's too bad, but Richard's still alive and still snarky. There's a video of him from the hospital,
hmm
joking and smiling, so that's good.
Yeah, and it was the next day, so
Yeah.
his injuries were minor enough. The very next day, he's joking. So good.
But shit happens.
It does. Do you think there's any chance that the batteries could be salvaged and maybe used for some energy storage or something?
Those ones I think are toast.
The next generation of Samsung.
Literal.
They could be used for toast. But yeah, every year here in Colorado, we have the Pikes Peak climb where race cars climb up Pikes Peak, which for those of you who don't know, it's pretty cool. It's a 14,000 foot paved road, and they try to get up it as fast as they can. And lately, EVs have been winning because a gasoline car needs air, and at 14,000 feet, there ain't a whole lot of air. So they have to turbocharge them and supercharge them and all this, where EVs don't care. So, so there's a whole thing about EVs doing the Pikes Peak and breaking all the records. And it's a very windy, very fast, very dangerous track. And if you go off the road at Pikes Peak, it ain't going to be pretty either. So
You got about 14,000 feet to think about what you've
yeah,
done.
you'd be like Homer Simpson, boop, 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 boop,
Dope, dope, dope,
dope,
dope.
dope, all the way down.
Except there's probably only one or two does.
Yeah, and then you stop.
That's a good point. Yeah. So can you do you want to talk about Renault's battery plans?
I can do that if
You
you
want to do
want
that one? Yeah. Take it away, Russell.
Because I don't know that Paul was prepared. So one of the cool things that I read last week in Green Car Reports is that Renault in Europe has a very popular electric car called the Zoe,
Which is loosely based on a Leaf or massively
a little bit
based on.
smaller.
Yeah.
A little bit smaller. It's
But-
a two-door.
But kind of
please don't.
shares a lot of DNA with the Leaf.
And
Yeah.
they sold a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them there. Well, Renault's got a plan. They're taking the battery packs out of these Zoes as they come back to them, and they're going to use them to build a power plant. And this power plant will actually replace, or it's a storage, obviously a storage. It won't generate power, but it will store power for downtimes or times when the power surge is greater than what the existing plants can generate. We're talking about 100 megawatts of power that basically replaces or is enough to power 120,000 homes. It's one natural gas or coal power plant worth of energy. And these are all out of batteries that have already gotten a lifetime of use in the Zoe. This isn't making anything
That's
new.
great.
This is connecting these used batteries. This is the advantage of, I hate to say it, forgive me for preaching, but I'm going to get up on my little box here.
Woohoo.
One of the wonderful things about electric vehicles, kids, your gas tank in your old Denali isn't good for anything when your Denali's scrapped. Your battery pack, however, in your used Nissan Leaf does have other uses and can be reused.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
So let's talk about, or let's be clear that there's a lot of good reasons to look at electric vehicles, and this is just yet another one.
Yeah, it does. We're pushing back on that argument that, well, solar panels never, can't work because the sun sets, and windmills don't work because the wind stops blowing. Well, okay, so here it is. We now have storage
Yep.
opportunities that we can store the extra energy that's being generated, and then we can use them when the wind isn't blowing and when the sun has set.
And that's the Zoe battery pack, just in case you haven't.
Yeah.
And big utility is going to embrace this idea.
Well, I don't know that. I'm going to talk about something that's related to this a little later in the show, and maybe we'll talk about it. But I mean, there are opportunities for companies that can adapt. Yeah.
I can think of several reasons why utility companies would want to jump on this, and one is the peaker plants.
Yeah.
When in California knows this all too well, and the Southwest knows when it gets extremely hot and everybody's running their air conditioner, as well as the your refrigerators and and everything, power consumption goes up and up and up, but it's not a sustained. It's not every day. It's not at night. It's not year round. But they keep these little, usually diesel-powered peaker plants to generate enough electricity to avoid the blackouts or the roaming brownouts. And let's face it, bringing those things online and buying diesel at competitive rates can be a challenge. And they're mechanical, so they have to be maintained. They have to be cleaned. Somebody has to run them. But you install setups like these, and you charge them when you have extra capacity, and they become your peaker plants. And they just sit there. No maintenance is required. Nobody needs to clean them, and you don't have to buy diesel to power to them. They basically charge and discharge on their own. I could see utility companies readily jumping on something like this.
Mm-hmm. They're all about making money, and I think there are profit opportunities for these companies as the technology changes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to take this time to say that if you own a Prius, you need accessories, you're supposed to go to the Prius Chat shop, but don't go there until Danny decides to come back on the show and honor us with his presence.
Okay.
I was supposed to do that, wasn't I?
Well, you just did an article, so I did it.
No, I mean, it's not like I can. Yeah, but I agree. If you own a Prius and you need accessories or fun stuff for your car, be sure to visit the Prius shop, but not until Cooper comes back.
It's the anti-commercial.
It's
Yeah.
priuschat.com/shop, but don't go there. Wait till Cooper comes back.
Now we're holding the advertisers hostage.
Wow.
Right.
Can I just say he's not an advertiser, okay? He's a moocher, is what he is.
Oh man!
Not an
Call the names and
advertiser.
everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Have you tried cashing the last check you got from him?
Has he sent you a check? Geez, the only thing I can get out of him is a free drink every once in a while during a trip.
And you have to drive there.
So,
Hey, Tony, I just want to go back to this story.
yeah.
The Renault Zoe. If you keep reading the article that there's a link to, there's something kind of cool at the end. In France, apparently, you lease the battery pack and you buy the car. And they're coming out with a 40 kilowatt battery pack later this year. And people who bought the first generation Zoe can actually upgrade the battery pack to get a 200-mile range car without having to replace the car. So basically, the lease of the battery runs out. They return it to Renault, and they deploy it in this energy storage network.
Mhm.
And then they lease you a pack double the size and you get double the range with the same old car. So that's actually pretty cool.
That's a
You know,
again,
so
do
you
that
can,
with a gas car.
It's a brain dead, great idea.
you can upgrade your car as the technology improves and becomes cheaper.
Yes.
It'd be like taking your smartphone in and, you know, just changing a little bit of it to get the latest and greatest features without having to replace it entirely. So hats off to Renault for offering that program.
Yeah. Good.
Absolutely. So dovetailing in with this story is the other story that I wanted to do, which is a very interesting Medium article, which I'm not going to dig too deep into because it's very numbers intensive. And I encourage you to go to either the Facebook page or whatdrives.us or go to the Flipboard page where it'll probably be the nicest looking and check it out for yourself. But what we're talking about is how is the future of car companies. And are they going to be selling cars in 20 years? Is there going to be are we going to do what we've done for the last century and go to a car dealership and buy a car? Or are we going to be doing something else? And this article lays out an argument that car companies could very easily be in the position of selling you miles, not necessarily cars, selling you car share time, not necessarily a physical vehicle. And that's that's sort of the thrust. Pardon me. I got so passionate, I'm choking up. 1 second.
Do you need a shot? Would that help?
Oh, God, I need a shot
turkey.
pad. Yeah. So, and this fascinates me because, again, you know, we talk about autonomous cars and it's all about individual vehicle ownership. When one of the other things we've talked about regularly on this is how much of the time, of the percentage of the time that you own your vehicle, are you actually in it driving it?
Right.
You know, it's one thing to say, well, I own a house, but I'm not in it all the time. Well, no, but all your stuff is. And, you know, it's nice to have the thing.
I know people, all their stuff is in their car. So.
Well, I know those people too. In fact, I had a landlady that was kind of a hoarder. She had like canned goods and stuff right up to the ceiling. No, it was an ugly story. Yeah. Oh God, it was horrible. So, you know, what I just want to just sort of leave you guys and the viewers out there with was just a thought of look at the car business, not as, again, how many Camaros and how many Priuses are we going to sell in 2030 or 2040, but are we going to, what is it even going to be? You know, are you going to pay them $3,000 a year to drive a vehicle when you need it? From the Toyota mobility service or from the GM, you know, ride share?
Or God forbid, Uber.
Or did I say GM Cruise maybe? Excuse me,
right.
I should use the right.
And I know that, you know, people say $3,000 a year. They're like, holy crap, I'm not paying $3,000. Well, but a car is $30,000 to $40,000. And so then it becomes price justified.
And insurance and maintenance and gas and
all that stuff.
Storage, parking.
Yeah, when you calculate all that in, $4,500 a year is a bargain. You know,
you guys use gas?
Yeah.
Touche.
Wow, shut us down.
Man. The Volt guy. Boom.
Yeah.
So I actually love reading articles like this because it does force you to think. You know, you have to think outside the box. You have to think not just how things are, but how things are going to be. And it does always remind me of when I book a taxi online to go to the airport. It always asks, do I want to go alone or am I willing to share the ride? And if I'm willing to share the ride, I get a lower cost. But for that, they'll pick up somebody along the way. And then, you know, we each pay for the taxi, but we pay a little less. And that way they only have to deploy one. So an autonomous car could do the exact same thing. I could set up a recurring, I need to be at work by this time every morning, and I'm willing to share. And it could calculate 4 people, pick up 4 people.
They'd have an algorithm to minimize downtime.
Exactly. And it would say, I'm picking you up in this order and I'm dropping you off in this order based on where you live and where you work. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to drop you off. And, you know, an autonomous car would be able to do that.
Yeah.
And then charge us for the number of miles that we ride in their car. It just works. If once the technology's there,
And if
it
that
just
car
works.
took 4 people to work, it gets 3 cars off the road,
Exactly. Perfect.
Exactly.
which makes it easier for everyone else trying to get to work. So
Yes.
And
all
which
good.
reduces congestion, which reduces upkeep on the roads, expense of maintaining them. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And by the time this happens, hopefully they're all electric. So yes, it's a perfect world. We have unicorns and lollipops and cotton candy.
Given today's news,
Maybe
I'm
these
going to
new
go
cars
with
will have cotton candy dispensers.
I think they should.
I agree. I could use a little cotton candy right now.
Yes, yes. No, I really, like I said, I really this kind of thought, this
You
kind
totally
of
missed the best segue in the
Well,
show.
and the cool thing is, as you're going to work, looking at your smartphone, you're not going to get in an accident because someone else will be in charge of driving, or something else will be in charge.
yes,
Right.
yeah.
Well, or whatever. It's not your car.
Right.
Right? Hopefully it's
Mhm.
safe and you're not injured, and it's not your car. It's not your problem. Tomorrow, the next day, it'll be a different car that'll pick you up and go to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, but write it like it's stolen. Just doesn't have the same sort of connotation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no longer like when you get a rental car and you can do airtime.
Mhm.
I didn't say that.
No,
Right.
no one's looking back in your record, Paul.
Yeah.
I've never rented a car.
Right. Well, so I want to kick it over to Mark, who hopefully can tell
I
us
got
about.
a quick little story about a firm that we've heard of before. And they've introduced or started to introduce a rendered version of the new Fisker eMotion has come out this week. So we've got ourselves a 4-door, sexy-looking sedan with suicide back doors, an all-electric range of 400 plus miles, and get this, a 9-minute fast charging connection, and of course, autonomous as well.
Of course.
Of course.
And,
it's
and
just-
when can we go drive it?
well, you could drive this render anytime you like.
Right.
They just got to render
two
you into
dimensions.
the driver's seat.
Yeah.
Yes.
But there's some impressive animations that can have you driving around your city real quick. But no, it's not real. It's something that they are hoping to have available into 2018 as an actual demonstration vehicle. So we're talking a number of years out. And of course, this is Fisker. I don't know if they're completely funded as they need to be. They're going to run into, funding issues and everything else that a small company that's producing a small amount of cars
Mhm.
always does. So who knows if this will ever make it to market. But I have to give them credit that the render is worth showing the picture on its own. It is a
It's
tremendously
They
good
got a
looking
good
car.
renderer person.
They got an excellent renderer that
Mhm.
could work for any
Good at
number of
rendering.
firms.
Right.
Yeah.
But of course, these claims 400 plus miles, 9 minutes to change or charge. Like, who knows? It's
And
all
will the doors
just
even open?
it's all just smoke and mirrors at this point. But if it turns out to look like this, I think they certainly have a winner in the design studio.
Of course, the tinted windows are illegal in most states, but
most states, but
Yeah.
wherever this was rendered is okay.
yeah,
Obviously.
it's okay in rendered land.
Yeah, that's where you're mistaken, Paul. Those windows. It's not tinted windows. That's actually painted sheet metal.
Yeah, exactly.
So they claim a working prototype to be revealed in mid 2017, and then delivery timelines announced mid next year, again 2017. Estimated 400 miles range, 161
mid 2017.
mid 2017. Yes,
Sure.
It's true.
and of carbon fiber and aluminum construction to keep it light.
And solid state graphene batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, something that's never been used in a production vehicle ever. So,
I
I'm sure that will go
Yeah, I'd
completely
gamble
smooth.
130 grand on that car. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right,
Pay
right.
him up front.
Yeah,
I
take
understand
it
that-
deposits tomorrow, guys. So get your
Yeah.
money ready.
I understand that in a race between the Fisker E Motion and the Faraday Future FF91, neither one won.
Both
No one can
didn't
explain
get
it.
off the starting line.
Yeah, they both lost. They both styrofoam cars just sat there. They looked awesome, but yeah, it's
0 to 60 and still counting.
and still waiting. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that's
Oh,
the
and some of the
Faraday
posts are funny if you read through the posts. Like, if they could deliver this thing, Tesla would be in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if Superman was real, so would
Yeah, so would
Mhm.
unicorns be in trouble.
Well, maybe since Henrik Fisker has been through a bankruptcy already of a previous company that tried to put out a supercar, maybe he can avoid some of the potholes that he's experienced in the past. So
Yes.
we'll see.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was worth the picture to show. Nice looking car.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a great rendering.
Yeah.
Hire that renderer.
Need to render me some money so I can
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I can buy an actual car that really exists. Right.
Like, you think a real car company would hire someone like that to do their future cars, Someone
Does
who
that
could actually
happen?
deliver the car.
Oh.
All right.
Maybe after this show, he has a new job.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
Or she, he or she.
He or she, yes.
So we enjoyed, so that was kind of lighthearted and fun, and I kind of wanted to end on a, I don't know, maybe this is lighthearted.
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't think we can celebrate this as lighthearted.
it's not. Yeah, but, there's like things in hindsight, I suppose, but so Philip Barclay flipped into the into our What Drives Us Flipboard, and I grabbed this because I was reading it and I thought it was interesting. But as much as we've harped on Volkswagen for their Dieselgate, so Philip posted, here are some of the worst car scandals in history. And of course, the first one that it lists is the Chevrolet Corvair, the car that Ralph Nader published in his devastating book titled Unsafe at Any Speed. It's about as insulting as you can get for a car. Yes. So do you remember what made the Corvair so unsafe?
Well, the article
Not
says
Chris.
the
Well, you weren't supposed to read the article. It was
steering
not-
column that impales the driver.
Yes.
But from what I recall, it was the ass end would swing around when you went around a corner and you'd lose control of the car.
They were rollover cars.
Yeah, they were rollover cars, and they would impale the driver. It was a Vlad the Impaler Corvair. So, yeah, that was kind of really, really bad.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the second one was the Ford Pinto, which, everybody knows, had the explosion problems in a rear-end collision. And
Wasn't
and I
that
believe,
in the movie Blues Brothers? They hit the back of a Pinto.
I think it was the Blues Brothers where they just like barely
They
dinged the
tapped
back.
it and it just grenaded.
Yeah.
That's
Yes, and I believe if I remember reading about Pintos, it was that the gas tank was just so much pushed in the back, and it was just so close to the back.
Well, and it was like a $7 fix could have prevented it, or something like that, and they didn't want to do it.
Right, and they did. It did come out that they had internal documents showing they knew about the problem but chose not to fix it,
Right.
calculating that it would be cheaper to pay out possible injury claims.
Oh, jeez.
And they were later charged for negligent homicide when 3 teenage girls died in Indiana. Yeah. So then we move on to the Ford Explorer and Firestone. You guys remember that one, right?
oh yeah.
Rollover SUVs.
Yeah.
Rollover.
But here's the thing, and I remember this at the time. The question was, who was to blame? Was it Ford or was it Firestone? And we talked about that on this show because this was, I remember this was in 2000, and I forget how we talked about it. I know we talked about it.
Did we?
Maybe not in 2000.
No, I was
because
going to say
it
we
was
didn't start the show until 2010, Tony.
Right. But I remember talking about this because what they did was like vehicular forensics. So what they found was these rollover incidents, there was always a blown tire. And so they, the National Highway Safety, the NHTSA, measured the the PSI in the 3 remaining tires. And in almost every situation, the tires were dramatically underinflated. And so they speculated that the underinflation created heat,
Right.
and the tires would then fail due to the heat of being underinflated, and that's when they would shred, and that caused the Explorer to flip over. So,
Well, one positive thing on that note is, as of 2007, all passenger cars have to have a tire pressure monitoring system to alert the driver that they have a low tire, which is a good thing to
yes, which is a
maybe
good thing.
indirectly come out of this,
Yes, yeah.
because consumers do not ever check their tire pressure.
The average consumer does not. Exactly.
99.9% do not.
Yeah.
Every car that comes in our shop has low tire pressure.
You throw them out.
No, we
Charge 'em.
inflate them. But I say to customers, your tires are low. Do you ever? Oh, I never check them. Okay,
Yeah.
your family could die.
Yep.
Do my tires take air?
Oh, I
Your
have to
tires
put
run on
air in my
battery.
tires?
And,
I
and
thought
yeah,
they were solid.
yes. So of course, then just a few more. We of course remember Toyota 2009. This was actually an Lexus. That was the first incident of the runaway car with the stuck accelerator and the floor mats.
Right.
So that led to a big hullabaloo. And then GM more recently with the switches. If you remember the faulty ignition switch, that's
On those fine Chevrolet Cobalts.
yes.
Such a fine
Um,
automobile.
But it turned out that these switches actually were in many other products that GM manufactured. And yeah, I do remember that they knew about these faulty switches, but it didn't reach a level that warranted investigation or recall. So they just kind of let it ride for almost a decade. And then, of course, the Takata airbags that I think is still going on.
It is.
There's still 19 million vehicles in
Yeah.
the U.S.
Currently 19 million just in the U.S. Yeah. Explode with so much force that they send metal scraps flying into the passenger.
Your skull.
Yeah, possibly. So if the wreck doesn't get you, the airbag will.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting read, kind of a walk down memory lane, and in terms
It's
of
not all that pleasant, though, is it?
It's really
A walk
not.
down memory lane. 10 ways to die in vehicles.
yes. But but it's like I said, it's kind of interesting. History. These are the things that happen. These are the things that hopefully are addressed, that we can make sure they never happen again. So there's that.
Yep.
So
I mean, we can say overall, cars have gotten much safer over the years. So
yes, yeah, they definitely have. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure everybody knows that you need to visit us at our main site, which is whatdrives.us. We do post every show audio and video form for streaming and downloading. Also at whatdrives.us, we've started posting articles and reviews. Russell has been driving cars, and I know he's going to write up some meticulous and very thoroughly interesting and literary works of art in these reviews.
and maybe
So-
just a tad opinionated.
Maybe.
No, I'm very objective.
Yes, Russell doesn't have opinions.
No.
No.
So I'll tell you this: the brand new Toyota Avalon Hybrid, Acura MDX all-wheel drive hybrid advanced, and right now I am sitting in I'm not sitting in it right now, but right now outside of my window here is a Kia Optima EX hybrid.
Oh,
Those are the first 3. They'll be out very soon.
cool.
All right.
And
And you're driving the Avalon because you're a grandpa now? Is that
The gray man with a beard.
I got nothing. Just call me Santa. Just call me Santa. But I do want to say,
Santa Grandpa?
be sure to visit us at our main site, whatdrives.us. We post every show in audio, video format there for streaming or downloading. Also at whatdrives.us, we've started posting articles and reviews from the experts you see here. That would be Tony Schaefer and me and Paul and Mark, and other people. If you want to learn how to drive more efficiently, Tony wrote the definitive series on it. Our complete archives and more at whatdrives.us. What are you doing, Tony? You changing the script while I'm reading it?
Oh, why? Because I'm just clicking around?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all of a sudden there's like this whole sentence highlighted. Am I supposed to say it like a different voice or something? I don't know.
Yes. No, that was just me clicking along and following along while you were talking. So
thank you, Tony.
Wherever you got this episode, hopefully you got it from Stitcher, Slacker, YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. Maybe you should go out there and subscribe to all of them, and that way you'll never miss a show. Especially if you subscribe on YouTube, you'll get an email notification when we go live, and you can join us on the show, in the chat room, or whatever, and give us some likes if you like the show. So
there you go. Also, we want to. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to jump in.
Go for it, Tony. It's your show.
We're winging it.
Okay.
So I want to make sure we thank our panels, Mark and Paul, of course, being on the show. Thanks to all of our listeners for spending some time with us. And as always, we're thanking Michael Manring for his theme music. Make sure and visit him at manthing.com and watch some of his amazing videos on YouTube. So that is it. Wow, we had a lot of stuff. We had like 9 different things to talk about, and we almost got it in under an hour. That's impressive. So that's all we got. So make sure you tune in and download us next week and find out what drives us.
See ya.